Hello and welcome to Math with Dotun. In this series, I'm going to be talking about rules of divisibility. How do you know a particular number is divisible by another number, right? So I'm just going to take the unit number in this series, and I'm starting with 2. Obviously, we know that 1 can divide any number, right? 1 is a universal divisor. So even fractions are divided by 1, all right? And then you know that any number divided by 1 remains itself, right? So we'll start with 2. So how do we know a number is divisible by 2? And that's very easy. Remember the definition of even numbers. Even numbers are numbers that are divisible by 2, all right? And those numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. And when you check the even numbers, they are multiples of 2, right? And they ends with either 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So any number that ends with 2, 4, or 6, or 8, or 0, that number is an even number. And then when you see any number like this, you know the number is divisible by 2. So what's the rule for divisibility of 2? A number is divisible by 2 if it's an even number. That's it. So as long as that number is an even number, you know the number is divisible by 2. And I've just given you something that will help you to identify these even numbers. All right? What's that? You check if the number ends with 2 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 0. So if the number ends with any of those digits, you know the number is even, and such the number is divisible by 2. Easy peasy. 3. All right. How do you know a number is divisible by 3? How do you know a number is divisible by 3? All you need to do is to add the digits that make up the number and see if you get a multiple of 3, and that will show you that the number is divisible by 3. So a number is divisible by 3 if the sum of its digits is a multiple of 3. So for instance, I have 2, 1, 3, 213. So for me to check if this number is divisible by 3, I will sum up the digits. So I'll do 2 plus 1 plus 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. All right. Then I'll check, is this the sum of the digits, right? Is this sum a multiple of 3? Yes. 6 is a multiple of 3. So that means 213 is divisible by 3. All right. So once you sum up the digits and they give you a multiple of 3, and you know the multiples of 3, 3 itself, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, all right, 24. Those are the multiples of 3. So once you sum up the digits and you have a multiple of 3, you know that that number is divisible by 3. All right, that number is divisible by 3. Okay, so now that also tells you that if you have a number repeated 3 times, that number is divisible by 3. So if you have 1, 1, 1, that's divisible by 3, right? Because 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. If you have 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5. So as long as you have a number repeating itself 3 times, that number will give you a multiple of 3, right? So that's how to check if a number is divisible by 3. Add all the digits together and check if you have a multiple of 3. And once you do, you know the number is divisible by 3. So now on to 4. Divisibility of 4. So how do you know a number is divisible by 4? How do you know a number is divisible by 4? You know a number is divisible by 4 if the last two digits form a multiple of 4. Right? We know the multiples of 4 itself. Right? So when we're talking about 2 digits now, so that means we're looking at 0, 4, 0, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. These are the multiples of 4 and so on. So if you have these multiples of 4, okay, let me write 36, 40, 44, 48, All right, if you have these multiples of 4 as the last digit of the number, then that number is divisible by 4, irrespective of what you have before it, irrespective of what you have before the number. So for instance, if I have 104, this is divisible by 4 because the last 2 digits form a multiple of 4, right? Which is 4 times 1, right? So if I have 3, 9, then I have 2, 8 at the end, that's the last 2 digits form a multiple of 4, and such 3,928 is divisible by 4. So once you check the last 2 digits of the number and it's a multiple of 4, then that number is divisible by 4. So how do we know a number is divisible by 5? How do you know a number is divisible by 5? Easy peasy. Very straightforward. So knowing that a number is divisible by 5, just check the last digit. If it's 0 or 5, then that number is divisible by 5. If the last digit is 0 or 5, the number is divisible by 5. Simple. If the number ends with what? Either 0 or 5, then you know the number is divisible by 5. And if you check the multiples of 5, it's quite obvious. So you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, okay, as you can see. So I have 100, I have 170, I have 300 or 3,580. Once the number ends with a 0, the number is divisible by 5. Or if it ends with 5, so if I have 135, 675, 895, okay, these numbers are divisible by 0. If it does not end with 0 or 5, then it's not divisible by 5. Now we are on 6. So how do you know a number is divisible by 6? And when we say divisible, we mean exactly, okay, without a remainder. Okay, so how do you know a number is divisible by 6 without a remainder? That number would satisfy the rule for 2 and 3. And you remember, if you have not seen it, please go to the playlist and check the division made easy playlist and check, all right, for the rules of 2 and 3. So for a number to be divisible by 6, that number must be divisible by both 2 and 3. All right, because here let's just say 2 times 3 is equals to 6, right? Okay, so for a number to be divisible by 6, that number must be divisible by 2 and also divisible by 3. So we say for a number to be divisible by 2, the number must be even, an even number. All right, and then for a number to be divisible by 3, the sum of its digits must be a multiple of 3. All right, so that means a number divisible by 6 is an even number that the sum of its digits is a multiple of 3. So for example, if you have 222 is an even number, and then if you sum the digits together, you have 2 plus 2 plus 2, and that will give you 6, and 6 is a multiple of 3, right? So this number is divisible by 6. All right, I could just try that out with short division. 2 divided by 6, so 6 goes into 0, remainder 2. 2 in 22 is 3, that's 18, right? Remainder 4, and 6 in 42 is 7, as you can see. So 222 divided by 6 is 37.